Mom asked me to watch my little brothers, and I love my brothers. I love them very much, but there's one thing that I'm really good at, and it's pushing buttons. I know how to push people's buttons. I find buttons. There's big buttons, small buttons. There's hidden buttons. There's buttons on everybody. I'm really good at finding them. It's a gift, and I knew what to say and how to say it, when to say it to my brothers to get them to do what I wanted them to do. It would start out, very innocent. We'd scare my youngest brother, and pretend that I was possessed by a demon. Simple things, nothing elaborate. Very innocent, very innocent. This particular time, I convinced my two brothers to fight each other, and it starts out simple. It's like, "Ooh, you gonna let him talk to you like that?" And then he said this, and my brother's like, "Well, that's why you wear a retainer." And I was like, "Oh shit, you wear a retainer." It was all like just a lot of honesty. It wasn't really insults. Sometimes the truth hurts, guys. And so I got them riled up, and they were about to fight. And I said, "Oh, hold on, guys. If we're gonna do this, we got to do it right. You guys got to fight on mom's bed. All right, get on mom's bed and fight." So my brother's like, "All right." They get on the bed. They start kicking each other. This bullshit fighting, not real. You know what I'm saying? So I had to break them up and like, come on, let's do this. Let's play for keeps. Come on. And they start going at it. And I'm just watching them, egging them on. And they're they're both on their backs and they're kicking each other, like fighting hardcore. And my baby brother pushes my younger brother Robert off the bed with his feet clean off, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I like fell out. I was like, "Oh shit, you got your ass whooped!" And as he's falling, he falls on a frame that my mom hasn't hung yet, and falls through the glass. It was like this giant frame, and he falls, breaks the glass, and I was like, "Oh shit, mom's gonna be pissed." And then we're cleaning it up, and then he turns around, and he has probably like 37 cuts on his back. It was like just lines of blood on his back, and I almost fell out because I almost fainted because like it's blood and it's real, and we're home alone. And when you're 12, the worst shit starts going through your head. Like CPS is gonna get called, we're gonna get taken away. What the fuck am I gonna do? So I do the smartest thing. I just put a dirty shirt on my brother's back and say, "We're gonna go to mom and fix this." So my mom's in the middle of teaching her summer school class, and it's for all the kids. They're struggling, they're sounding words out and shit, and it's like, you walk in, they're like to he, and she's like, "No, the word is the," and struggle. And we walk in there, and it's dead silent, and like when you do something wrong and you walk in already explaining that you were wrong to your parents. You remember that when you were a kid? Like, "Mom, I don't know what happened. There's blood everywhere. There's broken glass. Bettine's bleeding. I don't know what to do." Mom was like, "What? Robert's bleeding?" She runs out. There's still chunks of glass in my brother's back. She's picking this glass out, and these slowly but surely, all the students start to come out of the classroom and watch my mom reprimand all three of us and pick glass out of my brother's back. That wasn't the first or last time one of us made each other bleed, but it was very empowering to be there and be in charge of that moment and make that moment happen. That didn't that happened because of me, and that is empowering. Again, thank you guys. Thank you, Chatterbox. This is a great place. You have a good night.
Guys, keep it going for Pete. All right, a handful of storytellers left. We're going to do this quick. Put your hands together for Marina.
So just a quick disclaimer on this. My story tonight is going to deal with themes of suicide. So if that is something you are uncomfortable with, something that is triggering for you, please feel free to exit. No hard feelings. When I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, type 2. And I would experience mostly depression at the time, but sometimes I would experience bouts of hypomania that manifested as extreme and irrational anger, and I would say and do things that I knew would hurt the people around me because I was in pain and I wanted someone else to be hurting too. And when I was 18 years old, after about half a semester of college, on November 5th, 2013, I took half a bottle of ibuprofen in the hopes that it would end my life. It didn't. And I very quickly regretted what I did, went to my roommate and was like, I just did this. His boyfriend got me to throw up the pills, and then they called the police and 911 and everything to get paramedics out there and make sure I was okay. And they took me to the hospital, cleared me medically, and I remember the police were the ones who had to take me to the hospital because they were the ones who'd been called, and they're probably one of the worst moments of my life took place in that car, because one of the officers, when we got to the hospital, got out, went into the emergency room to explain the situation, and the other officer stayed in the car with me to make sure that I wasn't going to hurt myself further. And he was an older man, probably about like late 50s, early 60s. And it was quiet for a moment. He said, I have a 16-year-old daughter who's in the hospital right now, and they don't know if she's going to make it, and you're throwing your life away. And I wanted to scream in that moment, because one thing that I feel like a lot of people don't understand is that when it comes to mental health, there's already so much shame associated with it. There's a culture of silence. If you're not supposed to talk about this, you're just supposed to deal with the pain by yourself until it just suddenly disappears one day, or so we hope. And I wanted to tell that officer I would do anything to exchange my life for your daughter's, because she wants to be here and I don't. I didn't say that. I just put my head down and got through it. And the next morning when my dad, I was living in Tucson at the time, and my dad drove down from here, and he came to pick me up. And I remember being so scared, because there had been so many incidents of me running away from home or saying or doing hurtful things as a teenager living at home, that I just thought, like, he's done, he's had it, he's going to disown me, he's going to kick me out. And I walk out into the lobby, and he's just standing there, and he smiles at me, and he says, "It's okay, and I love you." And he hugs me. And conversely to how the night previous was before, that was one of the best moments of my life. I'm very lucky in that regard to have a father who is so supportive and understanding. He is a recovering alcoholic himself, so he knows that the path of recovery is not always a linear one. And in line with that, on June 11th of 2015, I tried to kill myself a second time. And there's this moment that you have after a first suicide attempt where you promise yourself this will never happen again. And then it happens again. And that's when you really have to look at your life and say, what am I doing that I keep hurting myself like this? And I realized with my first attempt, as much as I wanted to play the victim and be the hurt one in the situation, I was hurting so many people around me, not just with the attempt, but with all my behaviors leading up to it. I was blaming all of my problems on the people around me, telling them how much they had hurt me and not paying attention to any of the ways that I was hurting them. And so after that second attempt, I started to make some changes in my life. The first thing I did was dye my hair bright pink, because I'd wanted to do that for 15 years. And I had it bright pink for about 3.5 years and chopped it all off about 2 months ago. And getting to do that and starting to appreciate just these small things in life was a way of allowing myself to love myself that I hadn't experienced before. But the most important thing I did to love myself was to admit that I'm not always the victim, and that I am not infallible, and that I will make mistakes and I will hurt people. But the only way to do anything about that, to decrease that hurt in the world, is not to remove myself from the world, but to do better next time, and to make those amends as well as you can, if you're able to make those amends, and to move forward and to do better. That is all we can ask of each other. And the thing is, Chatterbox has allowed me, I think, in a lot of ways to do better, because it allows me to share this story with other people who may need to hear it. And it has allowed me to hear stories that I've needed to hear. And the thing is, we all have stories that we have survived. Every single one of us has something traumatic and awful and heartbreaking in our past. But until we are willing to share those, we might as well just be alone. So I just want to say thank you to Jessie, to Estevan, to Sammie, to Jared, to Sean, to everyone who comes to these events, who whether you heard about it from the start, you jumped in halfway, or you came last week and were like, I'm going to come to the one. You're here and you're sharing things and you're making people more connected. And that's how we survive. The only way we can survive this world is love. So thank you.
Stop making me cry. All right, guys, help me welcome Will Hightower.
Thank you. I'm here. You can stop clapping. Hello, and welcome. My name is Will. Some of you, if you were here over the summer, you may remember me as like the guy who exclusively talked about his divorce. The one person, thank you. I would love to stand up here and tell you that, like, through the year of doing Chatterbox and really being up here and, like, talking about my divorce in a form of, like, public therapy and, like, vindication, that I'm better now and not bitter. I would love to be able to tell you that, but I can't. So I've decided that I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm just not going to talk about my divorce. Not even going to bring it up at this point anymore. Which would be pretty great. But let's see. Oh, yeah, I want to thank Jessie first. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jessie. What a year. This has just been like I moved downtown last year because divorce. And I immediately started coming to Chatterbox because I was like, where's all the broken people? And then I found them. I found them here at Chatterbox. And what a year. It was a great year. I went away for a while after I was doing a lot of the Chatterbox over the summer, and then I went away for a little bit to do some more traditional theater. And some of you thought I killed myself, and I tried, but it didn't go very well. I did very similar things, and I'm just glad that this is a venue for people to talk about those things. So. That's it for the sad stuff that I've got. Okay. So, empowerment. Essentially, what would the white man do? That's pretty much all you have to think of when you think of empowerment. What would the white man do in this situation? Make a smoothie. That's what would happen. So you think, what would the white man do? And then you do that, and then you somehow are empowered, right? My father used to say about power, and Hollywood in general, he would say, it's all about who you know and who you blow. So I'm here to tell you tonight to empower yourself, to therefore blow yourself tonight. Each and every one of you, I want you to go home and blow yourself tonight, okay? This is what we're going to do. So, like some of the other people that we heard stories here tonight, I grew up in a broken home. Divorce. Not mine, though, so it doesn't count. I grew up in a broken home, and when I lived with my mother, I was like homeless for a lot of the time, and it was like pretty exciting because you're a kid and you're just like walking around the railroad tracks and like singing with your imaginary friends. But because it was like, when you're in that situation, you're like, danger's out there. So then you feel safe, like, inside your body. But then when the police got involved and I started to live with my father, and then I was like, oh, danger's at home. And I found different ways to get out. One of those ways when I was in middle school was the middle school wrestling team. Yes, just like a bunch of like 12, 13-year-old dudes in like tight singlets. It was, I should have just went straight to theater. This was amazing. And the first year on the wrestling team, I went undefeated.